welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the privacy edition, and just a brief reminder, we will not be having a standard live weekly news roundup next week, which is, I don't know, what is that date? That would be Friday the 16th. We will be back maybe on the 23rd, and I may or may not have some news articles up sometime around that section. It just won't be live. So if you're trying to catch it live for the first time. But anyway, with that, let's go ahead and get diving on in. We have privacy and security in this section. So we're going to go ahead and start in. First and foremost, you can now apply for a job through TikTok. Check, please, I want out of the human race. Now, I'll remind you that TikTok is owned by a company called ByteDance. ByteDance is a Chinese data and analytics and AI firm. Their entire purpose is to collect as much data as they possibly can from people and use it to train AI for a variety of different things. Turns out that this week, they started rolling out a ton of services. We will cover a few of them this week in the news, a few of them in the business section, but this is the new one that I think is more related to privacy, in that they're asking you to post job resumes on Chipotle. Now, this is a little bit better than I initially thought it might be, because they're not asking you to fill out everything. They're not asking you to put contact information in the video, but they do have a whole separate site. I'm not sure if that separate site, I couldn't find much information about it. I'm not sure if that separate site, you build a profile with that information and tie your TikTok profile to it. But the idea is Chipotle, Target, Shopify, hey, you can get a job through TikTok. I got news for you. I don't want to work at a company that hires people through TikTok. Really, guys, really. But they do have this thing. They are telling you specifically, don't put private personal contact information like an email address in it, because the videos are publicly shared. So literally you are applying for your job at like Target on a public video. What? I don't know. Sweet Green is on there. Great clips. Great. It's not a hair cutting company. That's right. I really want to get my hair cut from a guy that was hired off of TikTok. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and move on, because this is getting creepy. Well, okay, back to Chinese creepiness. I guess we're getting creepier. Dozens of Chinese phone games now require facial scans to play at night. Yeah. You want to get on and play a lot of your favorite video games? Because if you remember, China has this thing where if you're a minor, you can only play video games for a certain number. I mean, this is like nanny state. They're like, no, you are playing too many video games. You have got to stop and do something else constructive. So they're implementing a measure government-wide to sit down and say, hey, you absolutely can't play games without doing a facial scan. If you fail the scan, or if you don't do it, you can't play your video games anymore. And that would be the definition of nanny state. That's kind of where, in many ways, we're starting to go. But after 2018 tests, Midnight Patrol system officially rolls out to 60 10-cent games. So largest video game publishers take an extreme step to comply with the nation's rules about limiting minors' access to video games. As of this week, the publisher has added facial recognition system dubbed Midnight Patrol to over 60 of its China-specific smart games. It would disable gameplay in popular titles Honor of Kings if the users either decline a facial check or fail it. Well, what is this, 1984? Show us your badge, Mr. Winston. Here it is. Here's my brief. You can see. Oh, here's my brief right here. It's empty. See, it's empty. Nothing in my brief. Nothing in my brief, Mr. Guy at the other end of the camera. If you ever wanted a reason to stop playing video games, that would be it. And I have no earthly idea what in the world Ars Technica is doing with this little bold statement that has nothing to do with it. Literally, what is this? Propaganda nonsense? You're reading through about facial scans, and completely unrelated news. Grandparents' mask sales up 7,000%. And it goes back onto the case. What the hell are you doing, Ars Technica? Are you smoking crack? Don't do that. Say no to drugs. Wow. Oh boy. Well, I considered not including this one. I try not to get overtly political. Here we have Tucker Carlson, the NSA, and Fox News. Oh, God, don't worry, guys. I actually am not a regular watcher of Fox News. It makes me want to punch my TV. And so I don't actually generally watch it. And hopefully this version of Firefox has, autoplay disabled. So, haha, you ain't talking to me automatically, Tucker. And anyway, this is just kind of a follow-up. So the NSA has been reading his private emails planned to leak the contents. Now, on the positive side, or let's say the least utopian side, we know that the NSA, their task is to be examining what the foreign agents are up to. So Tucker Carlson was emailing people who had access to Vladimir Putin. And in the middle of all of this, it's very, 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 very possible that the NSA, monitoring those individual people who are not Americans, presumably, would see this information. Now, the question is, did they go back and see other emails from this American citizen or not? Now, this is part of the exact program that Snowden came out and told us should not be happening, but the courts were not willing to take it up because they said, well, nobody has alleged a violation. However, in that time between Snowden and now, several cases have looked at the NSA revelations and the NSA spyware, and the courts have actually declared it illegal and unconstitutional. So, if the NSA is still monitoring Tucker Carlson, the person, and everything he is doing, they are still doing the illegal activities that Snowden said. If, however, they only got emails of Tucker emailing somebody else because they were monitoring an outside person, they're within their rights accordingly. But according to their statement, once information was collected on a U.S. citizen, they were supposed to drop it. So regardless, this is a bad situation. Now, of course, being Fox News and being a Republican group, they start out with their anti-left group. So last week we told you the Biden administration's largest intelligence gathering agency. I got news for you guys. The Biden administration did not create the NSA. I'm sorry to tell you about that. As much as I'm not a fan of the administration, go give that dude some muffins and bran muffins and chocolate chip ice cream. I don't think he's running anything over there. But that being said, they are spinning this as more evil than it probably is, but still it's something that's going on that should not be going on. Just a friendly reminder, guys, communications to people may or may not be private, particularly if you're emailing people outside of the US. There's kind of my take, and I hope that we are very neutral on that. And on to our final story. America had a smart city plan. They even had was it 5 or 50? I think it was $50 million or billion. A boatload of cash was dumped in this thing. $50 million to reshape Columbus, Ohio to be a huge smart city. And then the coup happened. But it's not just the coup. It turns out that a lot of people didn't want anything to do with it. There were specific apps that you were supposed to download to help you navigate the smart city. Nobody wanted to use them because people are concerned about surveillance. And when you have a perpetually listening, perpetually monitoring smart city that is wanting all sorts of access and phone apps to tie into absolutely anything and everything in your platform, when you start doing that type of stuff, people are going, Believe it or not, people are starting to get to the point where they are starting to check out of data collection. And not extreme, but they're getting to the point where maybe I should take a few extra steps and probably not download the app for, McDonald's or something. Why do you need an app for McDonald's? It's beyond me. And just go through the drive-thru, get your food in 6 minutes or less, or 3 minutes usually. I don't know. But anyway, they had everything from Uber and Lyft. They were to doing the car-to-go car sharing platform. They were going to do autonomous vehicles. They did say that a few of the things went into effect, like only like 5 of the projects did. They said in the middle of the koofiness, they were actually able to get some self-driving cars to carry medical supplies from one end of the city to the other. So that was interesting. But by and large, they came out and kind of said, well, it was a grand success. But really, it really wasn't a success because nobody really cared. Nobody really wanted to do anything. And telling people to take the extra steps to put apps on their phones so the city could track everything that they're doing was a little bit too 1984 for some people. So maybe there is still hope for America yet in that we are possibly rejecting the smart city concept. All I gotta say, guys, is resist. Resist! Resist! Resist the smart cities. Resist the apps. Do anything and everything offline that you possibly can. I had some new insurance policy like, you just create your account, need to sign your documents. I emailed the agent. I'm like, no, mail them to me and I will sign them and mail them back. I don't need a online account for a $100 a year renter's insurance policy, actually. But with that, if you want to help support the channel, we do have some affiliates. Today we're talking about Mint Mobile. I have switched my main phone to Mint Mobile. I went from paying $60 a month down to, I think this year I paid $180 for the entire year, with twice the data I was getting on the old plan. So $15 a month. What you do is you buy them at least 3 months at a time. So 3-month block is going to be around $15. Buy it, and the more you buy at a time, then the cheaper it tends to get. And so there you have it, guys. You can see $45 for 3 months of service. It actually does get a little bit cheaper if you buy a whole year up front. That's what I did. As you know, I don't have any cell phone bills at all until March of next year, and everything works perfectly fine. And if my phone takes a dump, I pop out the SIM card and put it in any other smartphone that'll work. So definitely have a look at Mint Mobile, tlm.li/mm, if you want to help support the channel. Let's have a look at our security news next. First up, apps with 5.8 million Google Play downloads stole users' Facebook passwords. Well, serves them right for being on Facebook and downloading stuff from the Google Play Store. If you sideload your apps from a reputable place that actually audits the apps, you won't have that problem. #FDroid. But anyway, some people were downloading these apps. So their Trojans use special mechanism to trick their visitors after receiving necessary settings from one of the servers. Upon launch, they loaded the legitimate Facebook web page into WebView. Next, they loaded JavaScript received from the server. Script was directed to hijack the entered login credentials. After that, the JavaScript using the method provided through JavaScript interface annotation passes stolen login information to the Trojan applications, which then transfer the data back to the main server. So here are the 9 applications: processing photo, app lock keep, rubbish cleaner, app lock manager, horoscope pie, horoscope daily, Locket Master, Inwit Fitness, and Pip Photos. And they had here's the variants that were in there: PWS, Facebook, 13 through 17, and then here were the various downloads. A few of these had 100,000. One of them had 50,000, 5,000, and 10 downloads. I got a kick out of that. 10 people were stupid enough to download the App Lock Manager. Woohoo, baby. Woohoo. And if you happen to use one of those Western Digital MyClouds, you might have woken up the other day to find out it was deleted. Yeah, all of it. So there was a 0 day. Of course, these guys, these are running MyCloud OS 3. They're designed to put on your network, but accessible from the internet. Brilliant idea to have your own home network on the internet for hackers to have. Guys, don't do that. Don't put anything on your home network that can be accessible from outside the network. This means Ring cameras. This means your cool security stuff. Your neat little awesome little things that I always know. I always get a kick out of it. So there's I like watching the CD Prepper channel guy. I like some of the things he has to say, but he's starting to get all these sponsorships, and he did the Simply Safe sponsorship in the middle of talking about an SHFTF8 whatever, his situation where stuff hits the fan, and it's like you ever got to go into lockdown. He's like, but we've got Simply Safe. Dude, in that scenario, you think those people are at work monitoring your house? I don't think so. Tell people not to get that crap. Don't put stuff like that on your network. This happens. And so it's a 0 day on these guys. And it just kind of happened one day. People woke up and they found that everything on their files were deleted. And since this was designed to be your master backup, it would have just deleted everything. Guys, I use Open Media Vault. It is absolutely epic, very good. There's also FreeNAS is another one based on BSD. There's a few other ones out there. Look into these options that you can get a cheap, inexpensive computer. You can build this up. You can put them on your network and just don't have them accessible from the outside. That's the best thing that you can do. So there we have it, guys. There we have it. And last story, Microsoft had a zero vulnerability print nightmare that was so bad they went back and patched Windows 7 computers as well. Huge print issue. Basically, once again, if your printer was available on the internet, it would get in and mess with a bunch of stuff, have root escalation in your Windows machine, and they could take over everything if your stupid printer was available on the internet. Stop having stuff on your home network available to the internet. If you are not an IT guy that knows exactly how to do that kind of stuff, don't do it. Oh, but I can print from my car over the internet on my smartphone. Congratulations, moron. You can't pick up the piece of paper until you get home anyway. Why don't you just wait to print it when you get home? So anyway, Microsoft has this big security patch. They patch it out even back as far as Windows 7, back as far as like Microsoft servers 2008. They're like, we're patching it all up. And it was a swing and a miss because even after the patch, people were still able to have 0-day root access exploitation. So there you have it, guys. If you have printers available on the internet, get those printers off the internet. Or you could also probably stop using Windows as well. But, you know, we have a hard time convincing people to do that. Well, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have a subscribe star page. So if you are not into Patreon, if you are into Patreon, we are TOMM on Patreon. But over here, we are on subscribestar/switched-to-Linux if you'd like to help support the channel over there. So guys, thanks for watching. We will see you in a couple of weeks. We might actually have some pre-recorded videos next week. I just don't know yet. I won't know until next week happens. But anyway, thanks for watching, and we will see you soon. Thank you for watching this video from Switched-to-Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.